Hey Internet, Harris here. I've been a huge Apple Watch fan ever since it came out, and each year I like it more and more. And the Apple Watch Series 4 has been out for so long, and I've been wanting to make this video, but I just simply haven't. But here it is, the Apple Watch Series 4 running review. So I've been running for 7 years, and I've gone through a variety of watches. The Microsoft Band, the Microsoft Band 2, the TomTom something 3, and the Apple Watch. And I didn't really start using the Apple Watch until GPS came out with the Series 2, and it became instantly a great way to integrate both my daily activity, just how many hours I'm standing, how much movement I have, with my running. I can combine both of those so I don't have to have one watch for running and one watch for my daily activity, my notifications, everything that would do with my Apple Watch. It was now all combined into one watch. But was it good at its running? And the answer was no. It was decent, but never good. So here is the Series 4. Let's talk about the experience. So the good remains that it instantly starts up and you never have to wait on GPS. This is awesome. Because the watch is so always connected, it's always connected to your phone, which always has a GPS and a cellular connection. It's just very aware of its surroundings at all times. And you click start, you never have that ridiculous wait time when everybody else is ready to go on the run and you're the one that has to wait on the GPS signal. That's the thing in the past with the Apple Watch Series 4, and really all the Apple Watches though. You get to shame all of your peers who have their Garmin's and have to wait for it to sync. In the same vein, your workouts are almost instantaneously available on your phone once you complete the workout. So you finish your run, it syncs to your phone very quickly and you can see the data. Now also, like I said, it integrates very well if you're already an Apple Watch user. You get all your fitness data, all your text calls, and everything like that integrated into your running watch. This is going to be a far better watch than any other running watch, a Garmin, a TomTom, anything like that. This is going to be a better smartwatch, so if you can already combine that into a running experience, it's golden, really. And then the next thing, Bluetooth pairing for music listening is out of the box. It's native. This isn't new to the Series 4, so again, this works with all your Apple Watches. No matter what generation you have, you will have the ability to download music to your watch to pair with your Beats, your AirPods, whatever the music device is. You don't need a special edition to be able to listen to music on the go without needing your phone around. That is awesome. And finally, if you have the cellular connection, which I do, and it's expensive, but it's amazing. I can talk to people on runs, I can pull up map directions, which is incredible. I don't know how many times I've been lost on a run and pulled up the maps, especially when I'm visiting my sister in New York City. Wherever I am, I can pull up the maps and continue on my route. I can text somebody if I need to. I can now stream baseball games or podcasts or music from my watch with cellular. That's something you can't really do with any other running watch. Alright, but it's time for me to shut up about the good, because the bad things are so irksome. Okay, so I use one of two apps when I run. Now there are like a dozen apps. There's Runkeeper, there's Map My Run, there's Strava, there's Apple's app, there's whatever Under Armour has, there's tons of running watch apps, and they all do different things. I've used Nike's Run app and I've used Runkeeper, but at this point I am a Strava user, so I use Strava because Strava, while I don't love it all the time, ultimately is the best way to stay in contact with other runners in the running community. But ultimately I do use Strava, and I have been for years, and it's got all my data, so that's why I use it. Now I love Strava on this watch because auto pause is amazing. If I'm running and I stop, it stops. If I start going, it goes. That's why I absolutely love Strava on the Apple Watch, because auto pause is amazing. I never have to touch my watch. Now Strava does lack distance to the 100th, so it'll say 8.3 miles, but it won't tell me what the 100th place is. So I have to guess if I'm between 8.30 and 8.39. That's frustrating. So that's why I like to use Apple's app, because not only does Apple's app show you the 10th place, but it also gives you a quick slide over to go and control your media. So if you're listening to music or a podcast or whatever it is, within that screen, you can control that instantly without having to go to another app. But the trade-off is auto pause is terrible. It is so bad. I'll be running and I'll stop, and I basically have to be completely still, and then it'll be 1, 2, 3, okay, it pauses. And then I'll start going, 1, 2, it'll resume. And that's awful. And if Apple calls this autopause, they are on some drugs, because that is not autopause. That is terrible. All right, so I'm clicking resume, and it's just now starting. It's like 2 seconds delay. Doesn't really make any sense. Now there is a workaround. You can actually pause by clicking both hardware buttons in, and that will pause. Now if you're out of the app, it won't pause, and that's not very handy. So you can get around this, but I would love auto pause where I don't have to touch the watch. Additionally, it's rather irksome when you start a workout. It'll take a couple seconds because it wants you to be moving before it actually starts. So again, there isn't a good auto pause, but for some reason it doesn't actually want to start going when you go, and you'll click start, and it needs movement before it'll really start. So you actually have to be moving before it will say, oh, let's actually start this run. Not a huge deal, but again, that's just irksome. I want it to start right away. Now, just a few seconds to talk about the sponsor for this episode. Surprisingly, one of the things that I found myself using with my Apple Watch a lot was a silicone case around it. Now, I always thought that these were ridiculous because they're clunky, and I'm like, why would I put this plastic rubbery thing around my watch? And then I scratched it a couple times, and I was like, that's why I would do that. This is a silicone protective case for your Apple Watch, and it actually makes it look pretty clean. It gives it that slightly larger, bulkier look, which I don't always love, but I think looks kind of nice on this Apple Watch. And you can kind of change the look of your watch, make it look like it's a different color, and it protects it. So when I'm running on trails, or if I'm working out with this, or anything that this is vulnerable to scratching, because this thing is very delicate, this is awesome for that protection. And I'll leave a link in the description if you want to protect your Apple Watch without really adding too much bulk and without making it look ugly. This is something that I actually have been using and have been enjoying for my Apple Watch. Now, you can do splits on the Apple app, which is something you cannot do on Strava. That is another reason why I use Apple's app. If I'm ever doing a workout, I need to be using Apple's app so I can double tap the screen and take a split. Unfortunately, this is almost completely useless if I'm doing it in the winter or the summer. So in the winter, if I'm using gloves, there's a good chance I cannot double tap this glass display and get it to recognize. So usually I'm doing a repeat on the track, and I have to pull off my glove to do a double tap to get the split. This is like infuriating. And if, for instance, a notification pops up, or if something like an activity award comes up that says, congrats, you've completed your movement goal, anything like that, that's going to get in the way of you doing the split. You cannot use the hardware buttons for splits, and this drives me crazy. Apple, if you're going to have a touchscreen that you have to use, and you cannot use with sweaty hands, and you cannot use with gloves, then you have to give us a physical way to do a split. I would love for the stupid little button on the side, the pill button, if that could be a split button, that would be amazing. Apple, please give me a physical control for doing splits on the Apple Watch. This is awful. Either give me a slap or give me a physical button for running and splits. Now, there are also very few training options with the Apple Watch. Now, different apps can give you different things, but ultimately Apple's app will only really give you pace alerts if you're going above or below a certain pace. Outside of that, you can't load custom workouts onto here. You can't really do anything that fancy in terms of training, and that's disappointing. Again, there's just not a whole lot you can do that you can on dedicated watches, where you can load up maps into the running app. Basically any training tool that you would have on my TomTom, for instance, where I could load a route, I could load a custom workout, I could load a bunch of different controls. You just can't really do that. You basically get going, you can take splits, and you can have a pace alert, but that's essentially it. Now, once you finish your run, you get your total time, your active calories, your total calories, distance, elevation gain, max and min elevation, your cadence, your heart rate, and your average pace. And then you can see your splits, and then you can see a heart rate graph, map, and weather and humidity. That's actually not bad. It's still missing some data, certainly. You can't get this data, like you can't find it on the web from your computer and do it like a mouse over and see your pace. There's no community aspect of this. There's no like running platform for these workouts to see. But pro tip, if you are an Apple Watch user and you use Apple's app and you also use Strava, there's actually an app that lets you upload your Apple workout app workouts to Strava. It's called HealthFit. You can see this right here. and basically you can select a run. So I have that selected, and then you can see at the bottom there is the Strava icon, and then I can upload that to Strava. I'll leave a link to that in the description. I wish they were a sponsor, maybe someday, but that's a great way. And a pro tip, if you are an Apple Watch user and you want to upload your workouts to Strava with splits. And finally, there is accuracy, because I guess that's what matters most. So for a while, this thing was very accurate. You know, I would go for a run and it would give me similar results to my friends. As of late, it's just a tenth of a mile wrong almost all the time. This is so frustrating, and especially I can see this on the track. I'll go out and run a lap. It'll be between 0.24 and 0.26, not a huge deal, but then I do another lap and it's like 0.53 miles, and it just drives me crazy. Now, I know some people that do have totally good, accurate results with their Apple Watch. I just don't, and as of right now, my pace is always like 5 or 10 seconds faster than my friends with their Garmin's, and I look like I dropped them on a group run, and I look like that guy, but I'm not. It's just like my watch is being stupid. I don't want to look like I'm running faster or slower than I am. I want to know what I'm actually running, and this can also be very frustrating because if I'm doing a workout that's not on a track, and I don't have the ability to get a very measured, precise distance, I want to be able to accurately know my distances, my routes for repeats and intervals, but if I can't trust the distance on my watch, then I can't trust the distance on my watch for that workout. So at the end of the day, I'm going to keep using this because I assume this distance thing will work itself out. Apple really needs to add some physical controls for splits because you just can't do it in the winter with gloves on, at least not very well, and it's hard to do it in the summer when your hands are so sweaty, and they need to fix auto pause. They need to. I don't know. So I guess outside of that, I do still love this with cellular. It's amazing to be able to pull up maps or do a phone call or text messages or stream a baseball game. But ultimately, this isn't the greatest running watch in the world. But if you're just going out for some runs and just doing some mild training, this will be fine. Anyway, if you're interested in the Apple Watch, I will leave a link down in the description as well as for this Apple Watch case. But thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the Apple Watch for running, if you like it, if you dislike it, and if you have any questions about it.